Welcome back. Today we'll show you how to paint cabinet doors like a pro. Here, we're using a V-grip handle, 400 grit sandpaper, a dust mask, microfiber rag, and lacquer thinner. For the finish, we'll be using Mohawk products, primer sealer, colored lacquer enamel, and a pre-catalyzed clear coat for that durable, factory-like finish. These are the doors we'll be painting. They were originally gray, and we're changing them to a deep black finish. Before painting, we'll sand each door to remove that original factory sheen and help the primer bond properly. I like to start with the backside of the doors first. Sand every surface thoroughly, faces, edges, and profiles. Don't miss corners or grooves. Prep is what makes the finish. The better the prep, the smoother the paint. I vacuum between passes to remove dust and keep the surface and sandpaper from clogging. Now we move on to the front of the door and repeat the same process. I can't stress enough how important it is to sand all the edges, corners, and grooves. Always sand in the direction of the wood grain, and if possible, keep your strokes going in one consistent direction for a cleaner finish. Notice as I'm vacuuming, I keep a finger in front of the vacuum tip. That prevents the nozzle from leaving scratches or lines on the surface, especially on softer finishes. Keep in mind, as you're vacuuming, make sure to pull as much dust as possible out of the grooves and corners. This step makes a big difference later when you start painting. It prevents those fine particles from blowing out into your finish. There's nothing more frustrating than sanding everything smooth, laying down a nice coat, and then having to sand it all over again because of dust contamination. Now, use your microfiber cloth to wipe down the surface. If you have an air compressor, blow out all the corners and grooves to remove any remaining dust. If not, just keep wiping and vacuuming until you're confident the surface is completely clean. The goal here is to remove every last dust particle before you begin painting. This is close to what your surface should look like before priming. If you still see a bit of sheen, that means you didn't sand enough. Go back and lightly sand those areas until the finish is completely dull and uniform. Once you're happy with the result, Repeat the same process on the remaining doors and any other parts you'll be painting. It's important to finish all of your sanding work before moving on to paint. You don't want dust from unfinished sanding contaminating your freshly prepped surfaces. Make sure to clean your workspace thoroughly before you start painting. Enjoy as you watch me finish sanding the rest of the doors. If you'd like, you can skip ahead to the priming section. The steps for the other pieces are basically the same. Now that all the materials are sanded and the work area is completely clean and dust-free, we can start the painting process, beginning with the primer. This primer is color matched to the finish color, which makes applying the final coat much easier. If your primer were white, it would take more effort and extra coats to get full coverage. Take a look at the spray can. There's a small black dot on the rim that shows you which direction the nozzle is pointing. Always make sure the spray tip is aligned with that mark before you start. Shake the can vigorously for at least 1 minute after you hear the rattling ball inside. Then attach your V-grip handle to help with control and comfort. When spraying, I like to start with the edges first, then move on to the larger flat areas. Keep your spray about 9 to 12 inches away from the surface and focus on smooth, even strokes. That's what gives you a consistent, professional-looking primer coat. Notice how I'm getting into all the grooves and corners. You don't want any of the original color showing once the primer is applied. Just like with sanding, I like to start with the backside of the door first before moving to the front. After about 30 to 45 minutes, once the primer is dry, inspect the surface for any imperfections. If you notice any rough spots or flaws, lightly sand those areas using your 400 grit sandpaper, then apply a light coat of primer over that section. If everything looks good, flip the door over and spray primer on the front side. Remember, primer reaches a full cure after 24 hours. Now here's something important. For the best chemical bond between your primer and top coat, apply the lacquer top coat within 1 to 2 hours after your last primer coat. If you miss that 1 to 2 hour window, wait a full 24 hours before applying your top coat. Applying too soon or in between those times can cause adhesion issues like lifting, wrinkling, or peeling later on. The rule of thumb is this: if you apply the top coat within that 1 to 2 hour window, you don't need to sand. But if you wait 24 hours, lightly sand with 400 grit before spraying your top coat. Personally, I prefer applying the top coat within that 1 to 2 hour window for the strongest bond and smoothest results. Now that the primer is ready on both sides of the door, it's time to apply the top coat color. The timing I use is about 45 minutes on the back side and another 45 on the front. That's roughly an hour and a half total. This keeps us well within the 1 to 2 hour time window for proper bonding between the primer and the top coat. I start by spraying the backside first. Once that's done, I let it sit for about 20 minutes before flipping it over to paint the front. This schedule gives the primer enough time to set while still allowing the top coat to bond chemically, ensuring a strong, even finish that won't peel or lift later on. The reason we apply the top coat within that 20-minute flip is because the pre-catalyzed clear will need to be applied to the top coat within 1 hour after spraying it. To break it down, the working time between your primer and top coat is about 1 to 2 hours. The working time between your top coat and the pre-catalyzed clear is just 1 hour. Staying within those time windows ensures proper chemical bonding between each layer and helps prevent issues like lifting or peeling later on. Don't worry, I'll go over all these timing details again at the end of the video for anyone who wants a quick recap. Now we're applying the top coat to the front side of the door. The back was painted about 20 minutes ago, so we're still well within that 1 hour working window. This keeps the bonding between the two sides strong and ensures the finish cures evenly across the entire door. It's now about 40 minutes since we sprayed the back side with the top coat, and 20 minutes since we finished the front. That puts us right inside the 1 hour window. Perfect timing to start applying the pre-catalyzed clear finish. It's now been 20 minutes since applying the pre-catalyzed clear to the back and about 40 minutes since applying the top coat to the front. That means we're still well within the 1 hour working window between the top coat and the clear. Now, we can go ahead and apply the pre-catalyzed clear to the front side of the doors. Now this is what your finish should look like after applying the pre-catalyzed clear. Smooth, even, and with a clean, consistent sheen across the entire surface. And now this is what the finish should look like after the clear coat has fully dried. What you're seeing here is about 4 hours later, smooth, even, and with a nice consistent sheen. So for anyone who needs a quick recap, after applying your primer, you'll need to apply the top coat within 1 to 2 hours. After applying the top coat, apply your clear coat within 1 hour. If you miss that timeline, simply wait 24 hours, then lightly sand with 400 grit sandpaper before moving on to the next step. It's that simple. Follow those time windows, and you'll always get a smooth, durable, professional finish. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your project. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this.